I'm joined today by Colleen Young, MLA for Lloydminster, and thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Leanne. Glad to be here.
So it's a very busy time of year for you. You just came from some Christmas concerts for your grandchildren.
Yes, yeah, it is a very busy time, and I remember that same time with my own kids, so now it's grandkids that I attend and watch, the excitement that goes on.
It's been a very busy session as well.
Yes.
There's been a lot of momentous things happen recently with your colleagues in this area, but now you stand unopposed in your constituency for the upcoming 2024 election. I guess what do you see happening in 2024? What's the focus other than the election going to be?
Well, as you said, the election is going to be next year, the general election in October 2024. So, and yes, just recently I came through, which was, a race between me and Mr. Thornsteinson, and then at the very end, he chose to step out of the race, and I was acclaimed on November the 30th. So yes, I am the Sask Party candidate for the next general election, but I worked hard to get there, and so, I'm very appreciative of all my constituents and those that did support me and were willing to come out, but it didn't turn out that way. So there's lots of momentum happening in the province as far as the economy goes. And I think that's the big one coming into next year is, without a strong economy in the province, we can't fund and provide the services that the people have come to expect. And I think that's what folks need to know and understand, the efforts and the investments and the time that the government has put into ensuring that there is growth in the province as far as the population goes, but also as far as the economy goes. And I think that's what folks need to understand. That creates jobs, it creates money into the coffers, general revenue of the province that we can support the important programs.
Great. For most people, affordability this past year has been kind of top of mind. I guess with a strong economy that does help, but are there any immediate measures or measures on the horizon that would make life a little bit more affordable for constituents?
Our government does recognize there are inflation pressures within the province, and at the same time we're very prudent with our finances and are making sure that we hold the line on our expenses. We need to continue to work with our industries to make sure that those investments are here in our province and contributing to the general revenue. But we also realize that there needs to be consistent paying down of our debt in this province, and that's something that we've committed to and that we have worked towards, and I'm sure people will appreciate that as we move forward, so that our future generations don't have a greater burden.
Great. I know a question that a lot of people have had recently, just with the news that we've gone from having a potential surplus to being in the hole a bit. What have you been telling people about that?
Well, as we know, that has to do with our potash industry and our oil and gas industry. We've had a federal government that has, imposed a carbon tax on our industries to a great extent, and that has really hurt their revenue sources. And with the global markets are frustrating them as well, and that has really brought down what we anticipated we should have had with regards to our oil and gas industry and with regards to our potash industry.
Just coming off of the big climate summit with the UN, COP28, how do you feel Saskatchewan did on that stage, making our views known on the issues?
I think it was very important for us to be there. We had 55 plus various organizations and industries participate in COP along with our government, and there were a number of MOUs signed that will support the province going forward. I think one of the things folks need to understand is that this is not about reducing production in our industries. It's about finding technologies that support the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and CO2. And I think that knowing that we have, invested into our Saskatchewan Research Council and those industries in order to support the technology innovation that I believe is going to happen and support those climate.
Right, and they did signal at COP28 that they want to transition away from fossil fuels. I know that's an unpopular position in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Any thing that you can see going forward, I guess, on that front in getting your message across to the federal government at least?
Well, as you know, we were the first ones to step out and put the Saskatchewan First Act in place, and that was our signaling to the federal government that it is our role as a province to manage our natural resources in this province, and that we will determine, you know, what that looks like in the future, what production happens, and what investments happen in this province. And I think, you know, we stand firm on that. And I know Alberta has followed with their Sovereignty Act, and I think they too understand that the federal government needs to stay out of that area of the province's decisions.
All right, Colleen, are there any initiatives that you've been part of with your role in the past year that you're particularly proud of?
Well, I think starting, you know, the Highway 21 got done a couple of years ago, and I know I'm still, you know, receiving feedback on it, how appreciative my constituents are on getting Highway 21 as well as 797 restructured and rebuilt. I think that the two new high schools, additions to the two new high schools, has been extremely positive, and I know that it'll serve our students moving into the future. The Lloydminster Comprehensive High School still got some work to do, but I understand students have moved in at Holy Rosary into their new areas. So, you know, that was $35 million into both of those, you know, for each of those schools, 10 and 25. There has been work out in the rural areas as well. I was able to help secure ambulance services for Pierceland. They were struggling, and after AHS made some decisions with regards to no longer serving the area, that was something that I, you know, was able to work with the minister on and make sure that there were services for those folks up in the northwest part of this constituency. Recently, announcement at Lakeland College with regards to 16 new nursing and nurse practitioner spots. That's something I've been working on with the college and the university and the Minister of Advanced Ed for the last few years, ensuring that, you know, we are able to train and have nurses working right here in our community who want to stay in our community, who possibly have families. And that's something that I worked very hard on to making sure moved forward. Working still on a long-term care facility. Jubilee Home has reached the end of its life, and it's the only Saskatchewan long-term care facility that we have in the province. And I've heard more and more frustration from families whose you know, aging family members have had to be transitioned or moved somewhere else within the province. And you know, it's supposed to be temporary, but we know what temporary means. It's not always temporary, and they end up being there. And it's a struggle, not just for them being away from the family, but for family to be able to go see them. So I've been working on a long-term care facility joint with a hospice potentially in this city, and I continue to put the pressure on for that one because I think it's something that SHA has now realized is important for this community and is advocating as well. So
yeah, for sure. Colleen, is there anything that you would like to share with your constituents going into the holidays here?
Well, I think I want to thank them for their ongoing trust and confidence in me to represent them. I think that's very humbling to me to know that, you know, they believe that I am advocating on their behalf and representing them within the government, and I am working hard on their behalf. There isn't an issue that hasn't come before me that I haven't taken, you know, forward and made sure that they're heard. You know, there's 61 MLAs, and people have to understand that I'm not the only one at the table asking for something, so we don't always get what we want, and sometimes it takes time to get there. So, you know, I know patience is hard for some folks, but I want to assure them that I am constantly bringing issues forward and speaking on their behalf. So, and I've had the opportunity within the Assembly, Legislative Assembly, to speak on their behalf as well on many things, and announced many of the things that have happened in this community within the Assembly as well. So.
Right. Okay, well, Colleen, thank you so much for your time today. I do appreciate you coming in and speaking with us. It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to you and all the staff here, and Merry Christmas to my entire constituents.
Thanks.